Oh my gosh. Hey, Crazy Drake Podcast.
Oh, welcome to the Crazy Drake Podcast show. Folks, I've got to talk about a show that I just saw, the Jack White concert at the GLC 20 Monroe Live in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I don't think he was supposed to make a plan to come to Grand Rapids because they did a couple shows in Detroit. And I think that he was going to go to Cleveland, Ohio, the next stop that he's got on April 16th, 2025. But he made a stop in Grand Rapids. It was a pretty fantastic show. I'm not a big fan of this new rock. Well, he's considered 25 years now in his professional rock star status. But, I grew up with the Guns N' Roses and the Metallica and all those type of groups back in the 80s and 90s and Nirvana and Pearl Jam with the grunge rock and Stone Temple Pilots. And then I guess, the time passes you by. Eventually, you just pass on to the idea that this new rock era that you are not part of that teenage years, you kind of just miss out. Like I missed out a little bit of the System of the Down when they first came out. I clearly missed a lot of Jack White. Even with the White Stripes, I was not really into them when I was younger because you're living up in the era of your genre as a teenager, preteen, or whatever. But I made it a point. To actually see a show, and I want to see a show of a rock stars or rock or at least bands or artists that still play the guitar, like Eddie Van Halen, Slash, Jimmy Page, Jimi Hendrix, and now we have Jack White. And I know I left a lot of people out as well, like Van Morrison out as well. But I wanted to make it a point to move to Grand Rapids to do stuff like this, and I did. And I came across of the Jack White concert about 3 months ago. About 2 months ago, and it's basically $156. And I paid for it, and it's worth every dollar. And I actually bought the album as well. As you can see, I have the Jack White webpage on there. I'm going to go through the shows that he's got scheduled up. Again, when I say April 16th, is today. He's going to be in Cleveland, Ohio, at the Agora Theater, April 18th, at the Pinnacle in Nashville, Tennessee. He's also going to stay in Tennessee for an extra day in Nashville at the Pinnacle again on the 19th. Then May 4th, he takes a couple weeks off. He's going to be in Austin, Texas at the ACL Live at the Moody Theater. And he's also making a 2-day stop in Austin, Texas at the same theater, at the ACL Live, the Moody Theater. May 6th, he goes to Dallas, Texas, to the Southside Ballroom. May 8th, he goes to the Mission Ballroom in Denver, Colorado. May 9th, he's going to the Mission. Well, he's going to make 2 stops in Denver. He's going to stay at the ballroom, at the Mission Ballroom. Then Salt Lake City, Utah, he's going to be at the Union Event Center. Along the way, he's also going to be on May 12th, Hollywood, Paladino, Los Angeles, California. And he's also going to be there on May 13th. May 15th, he's going to be Santa Barbara Bowl in Santa Barbara, California. He's going to make 1 stop at Oakland, California, at the Fox Theater. He's also going to stop at San Francisco at the Masonic. And then he's going to be in Seattle on May 19th at the Paramount Theater for 2 shows in Seattle, May 19th and May 20. May 22, Vancouver, Canada, 2 shows there on 22 and 23 at the Commodore Ballroom. Then he goes back to the States, to Oregon, to Trudell. He's going to be at the Edgefield concert on the lawn. He goes back to California on May 26th to Sacramento, Channel 24. He makes 2 stops at that same location, 26 and 27, August 3rd, Back Cove Music and Arts Festival in Portland, Maine. No, I might do that. I might go to Maine, in Portland. Then he goes to, then his last stop at this point will be September 11th to the 14th at the Bourbon and Beyond, somewhere in Bourbon and Beyond. I think it's a theater or a concert venue in Louisville, Kentucky. Um, I'm just, I just named out all the shows that he's going to be at, and I got to say this, folks. This album was really, really good. His show was really good. He was basically one of those guys that he may be one of the last guys in that era, in this era of rock and roll, where the guitar play is so instrumental and so influential for younger crowds to play into it. I could listen to Jack White and hear a lot of Slash to me. I could hear a lot of, I would almost say a little bit like Eddie Van Halen, maybe more like Van Morrison. But I think it's just the fact that his style is just it's so classical. I guess it's a weird way to say classical now, because if you think of classical rock or music, you think of Mozart and Beethoven, and he might be that last guy in 100 years, 200 years. We look back and say, and people go and say, oh yeah, Jack White wasn't comparable to Jimi Hendrix, but he might be that last era of that artistic guitar riff. And I'm so happy that I got to see that show. I bought the album. As you can tell, well, I should just put this up. It's a blue album. It's all blue. It's all blue. The tour is called No Name Tour, and I should have said that in the beginning. But yeah, I mean, it was in the venue for at GLC 20 Monroe. It's a perfect venue. The sound is great in their facility. You feel pretty close to the artist. There's not really a bad spot to stand, because the floor probably stand about maybe 2,000 people on the floor. On the second, there's probably maybe 500 people that you could sit. They would pay more for those tickets at JLC. But there's really not a bad place to stand. Of course, if you're short, you might have a little difficulty. But it was a fantastic show. If you have the time and the money to go see Jack White, I would strongly do it. So thank you for popping in on this little short episode of the Crazy Dre podcast show. There's a little different. I usually do sports, Detroit Tigers, but I didn't. So I did a little bit of music more this time. Again, the Crazy Dre podcast show is really about disability, sports, and life, and I try to grab onto everything that I can that interests me, that would interest the crowd or my audience. You can find me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on the Patreon. You can find me anywhere that you download the podcast. It'd be great. Subscribe, follow. But I appreciate it. Peace, love, and I'm out of here.